Hello, everybody, and welcome to Imperial Holonet. I am JID123, and I am joined today by Deapoolzilla and Jacob Carlson. Now sit back, relax, and I tell you a tale. Long ago in a distant land, Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness, unleashed an unspeakable evil. But a foolish samurai warrior, wielding a magic sword, stepped forth to oppose him. Before the final blow was struck, he tore open a portal in time and flung him into the future, where his evil is law. Now the fool seeks to return to the past and undo the future that is Aku. Bow do the rack, do the samurai jack. Sorry. But yes, people, if you haven't guessed by now, we are talking about the one, the only Samurai Jack, Season 5. The final season. The ending. The final one. So with that being said, I think the best place to start was, what were your reactions when this first was announced that Samurai Jack was coming back to TV? Jacob, since I realized later that you were a Samurai Jack fan, how about we start with you?
What? Sure. First of all, just let me say that was really good. You got like all the voice inflections that Mako did in the intro perfect.
Oh, thanks.
I heard about this. Oh man, I'm having to think. Why did you have me go first, Joel? I think I completely like heard about this randomly on because I'm subscribed to Adult Swim on YouTube. And I saw their featurette of it, or the one that Gendy Tartakovsky did, talking about like they're coming back or whatever. Or no, they did a teaser before that, right?
Yeah.
They just had like the image. Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was when I was first introduced to it. To the show coming back. I had watched the show as a kid. Not really religiously, but it was a good time, so I was really excited for it to come back.
Nice. Deadpoolzilla, would you like to talk about your reactions?
Literally did a spit take when I heard the news.
Were you drinking something at the time?
Yeah, I was. I was like, holy shit. With me, with Samurai Jack, I wasn't able to watch it. Sorry, that was weird.
That's okay.
But yeah, like I said, I didn't watch it. I was able to watch it religiously because DVR wasn't a thing. But when I heard the news, I was like, oh, this is so cool. But at the same time, we were having all these revivals that were not so great.
Yeah.
So even with Gennady Tarkovsky on board and having a majority of his creative staff behind, I was still like, oh, Teen Titans Go, Ben 10, and Powerpuff Girls. Ooh, you have not had a great track record at Cartoon Network.
See, I didn't feel that way. Like I think I watched your video about that and understood what you were talking about, but I don't think I was ever unsure of what they were going to do because they got everybody back to do what they were going to do.
With the exception of Mako, obviously. But
yeah, unfortunately, RIP. But they got pretty much everybody back, I think. At least the important people. And speaking in retrospect, this final season was still Samurai Jack. It still felt that way. It still had all the same values, at least up until the end. But we can talk about that later. But I don't think I was ever at least skeptical of the quality of it.
I'm actually glad
what I remembered most. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I was glad you brought that up because that's one of the things I noticed like almost straight away, and they cemented it for me in the second episode when they showed Aku was that. I was a little worried, like, oh, this is going to be like the dark, gritty Samurai Jack, where Aku's now like an evil, serious villain, and, all the comedy is gone, and then it's sort of like, no, this still feels like the Samurai Jack I remember as a kid, and then when they showed Aku, I was like, Yeah, that's Aku. Still same guy. That's
I
still...
think here's the thing: is that I think a lot of people just wanted Aku to be like season one Aku, and everyone just seemed to forget great flaming eyebrows.
Or extra thick.
Oh, that's a meme now.
Oh.
Thick with 2 C's.
Because poor literacy is a thing in comics.
Exactly.
I totally fucked that Linkara quote up. Anyway, um, but yeah, with this, I think they did a great job. My only complaint is that I wish we had like maybe instead of 10 episodes, we could have at least 13, at least to space out everything because that ending felt a little rushed. And looking back, I was
Totally.
like, wow, yeah.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I was like, don't get me wrong, I like the ending, but at the same time, I'm like, what about all the stuff about the Guardian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that got retconned. That got retconned.
Yeah, that got super hard retcon. And Ashi was a cool character. It was nice to see, a show that didn't, an adult animated show that didn't rely on humor, and it actually had the balls to be bloody. And there was some beautiful imagery in this series, and I think that Greg Baldwin, the successor to Mako's voice actor, I think he did a good job. I mean, obviously, no one could compare with Mako, but I
Oh
think
yeah.
that he did a really good job. And actually, there's a cool story. Oh, hey, sorry, because my reception's terrible.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
I had to shoot out because my room's so terrible. I was using my mom's room as a as to like get better reception.
That's okay. I'm in the living room, so
You do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah, so I just got thrown out. So if I get spotty, here's the thing. um, where was I? Oh yeah. So basically, what happened was Mako's daughter had come into the recording session during the last few episodes of Samurai Jack to listen to Greg Baldwin, and she burst into tears, saying it was like hearing my father.
Aww.
That's awesome.
I love that. I love it when a voice actor can get so close. It's sort of like Steven Stanton and Tarkin, or even
See,
Ben Kenobi.
when Baldwin did Iroh in the 3rd season of The Last Airbender,
Mhm.
I noticed a difference right away. But I didn't notice a difference really in his Aku until the finale when they played the intro to the original 4 seasons with Mako's voice, and then Greg Baldwin's Aku just started talking right after that.
Okay,
That's
here's the
the
weird
only
thing.
time when I
I
really noticed a
did.
difference.
I'm the opposite. I didn't notice with Avatar, although I was young at the time, so I was like, I don't know anything about voice actors. I didn't notice with Avatar, but I did notice with Aku. I think because Uncle Iroh is, he talks normally. Like, he still has, Mako's, inflections and all that, but he's still a normal human being who talks normally. While Aku is like this over the top, dramatic, both big, evil laughter and just the gravitas that I kind of know. And I was watching a lot of old Samurai Jack too to build up for the season 5, just to kind of get myself hyped. So I kind of noticed like it's a little Mark is a bit more high pitched and a little more grovelly. While the new guy's a little more lower pitched, and kind of a little more fake gravelly. But I mean, he did a good job. So like I can't complain. But I was the opposite.
Yeah.
So something that I brought up before we started talking about Mako is that season 5 definitely still has the same feel of the OG Samurai Jack, and a lot of that a lot of that is in part due to how much time they spend on the animation and the visuals and the composition of what's going on in the screen, and how true to their original plan they stayed. Something that was pretty revolutionary at the time when Samurai Jack came out was having a cartoon show that didn't have a lot of dialogue. And I never felt watching the season 5 episodes that they didn't stay true to that they had too much dialogue, that they were talking too much. especially in the first couple episodes where Jack really isn't talking. It's his hallucinations. I don't think they ever crossed the line where it was too much dialogue and it never felt like Samurai Jack.
Oh yeah, and I agree. I felt
Yeah.
like I was watching the same show. I always liked Samurai Jack as a kid. It was one of the few shows I thought was kind of scary at the time, but I was an easily scared kid. So sort of like, but you know, Samurai Jack like, ooh, this show gets dark quick. So it's sort of like, but I totally agree with you, and I guess I should actually give my thoughts on what my reactions were. So I heard about this via the internet. I don't remember where, somewhere, and I remember people talking about it. I remember Steve talking about it, actually. That's the one thing I remember. He was doing his Let's Plays at the time, his just live streams. He was talking about Samurai Jack and his concerns and, you know, his hopes and stuff. And I kind of didn't think too much of it at the time until right around the time when it was about to start, because they started playing old Samurai Jack episodes, and I'm like, oh, I remember this as a kid. This was great. Like, this was what cartoons used to be back in my day. I sound old. And then I kind of just, like, remember seeing that first episode and kind of like, oh yeah, this is good. I think I got hooked, though, by the second episode. And again, to bring this back to Aku, because they got Aku right, and I was so happy. Because that was the reason I actually watched Samurai Jack the most, was because of Aku. Aku's like the unofficial star of the show in a way. He definitely is the most valuable character. So it was like after,
Totally.
So after that, I was like, okay, yeah, they got it right, and I was just excited to see how it was going to end, because it's sort of like when shows that get canceled and they have a predetermined ending don't end. You know, it's sort of like that's never going to be finished. That's what the fan fiction is going to be there for, but like now we can actually have a completion.
Yeah.
And it just felt so good to like know that it got to end on its
A,
own
a
terms.
strength of season 5, I think, is not solely relying on that nostalgia.
Oh no,
I
no.
totally had the same feeling that you did, Joel, because it is nostalgic, and I mean every generation of people has that thing of, oh, back in my day, things were better. But this, I think season 5 overall was better than the original show. I think that they took what they had and they built upon it in a way that was constructive and didn't
It wasn't
sort of
reliant
take
on a
away.
PG rating or TVY rating or whatever.
Yeah, and that's something that we don't get a lot of times when these movies are R-rated or PG-13 that have a little bit more violence in them. That violence doesn't feel warranted. It doesn't feel necessary. It doesn't feel like it has impact.
Exactly.
They
Yeah.
hit you hard with the impact in this. I think it's at the end of the second episode when Jack kills one of the daughters of Aku, and then they spend the whole episode, like the next episode, dealing with that and justifying it being okay for you to kill people in some circumstances. And that's something a lot of stories are afraid to do these days.
Exactly, but it doesn't lose its soul. Like, and to go back to the second episode, that episode starts off with Aku doing his morning routine, doing stretches. Like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Deapoolzilla, you want to say something?
To go on what Jacob said, I feel like when it was getting a Adult Swim ratings and all that, I honestly was afraid that it was just going to go like it was just going to be like Extreme Samurai Jack, where we get to do adult stuff. But no, like Jacob
Aku
said,
getting it on.
but yeah, like Jacob said, that the violence feels warranted. It feels like it feels natural, and I feel like this was something that Gennady always wanted to do. And we do get snippets of in the original show. Like, remember in that episode where Jack takes on all those bounty hunters, and it's like when he walks away after taking them all down, he's like, "Oh my God, he killed them."
Or just the intensity of like that first 3 episodes. Like, I mean, yeah, he's
No.
killing-
There's a group of bounty hunters
No, I
brought
know.
together.
I know that I was talking about. I was using another example of like the beginning, how that show got intense as well.
Yeah. The other major thing is that, like Jacob said, is that this feels like, yeah, whereas most shows would go, "Oh, killing is wrong. It's a bad thing," and then this episode goes, "No, I mean, yeah, it's wrong, but it's not that we can't do you can't go on without doing it. It's points. There's points where it needs to be. It's either you or me, and it might as well be you."
Oh yeah, and it feels so effortless. Like just the dark themes they deal with, and some of the even more extreme imagery. But it's not. It doesn't feel like let's show a ladies, what it's for the sake of doing that. It shows some extreme stuff like I go back to what you say, Deapoolzilla, Aku's finger jizz, and how Ashi was born. Like that's an intense scene. Just her the priest just screaming when she's giving birth, but yet it doesn't feel. And you couldn't get away with that in a younger TV show, but oh, I think we lost Jacob for a second. Jacob, can you hear us? Uh-oh, we lost him. We can't hear you. Can you hear me, Deadpoolzilla?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I was saying, how you couldn't get away with it in a younger TV show, but you could, but it just feels natural about it. Deadpoolzilla, you want to take us to the another section of the discussion while Jacob tries to figure out his technical issues?
All right. I guess we'll
Oh,
talk.
wait, hang on. Let me pause the recording and then I'll get us back up. And we're back. Sorry, people. Now Deadpoolzilla was gonna start off with another topic. It's still SamuraiJack, but another part of the review. Deadpoolzilla.
Really quickly,
Oh.
just to cap off the end of the violence conversation, because I missed out on a little bit of it because I'm having technical difficulties. I think the best way to sum up the violence in season 5 of SamuraiJack is that it definitely feels appropriate and fits with what's going on and the escalation of Jack being there in the future for over 50 years. So sorry, you guys go ahead, Deapoolzilla.
All right. I guess we'll talk. The next best thing to talk about after Jack is Ashi.
Voiced by Tara Strong, so you can't go wrong. That rhymed.
What did you guys think of her?
I liked her. I wasn't sure about her at first, because she's going to be the villain, but I knew it was going to be Tara Strong, so it's like, ooh, Tara Strong gets to play a villain, yay. I don't get to see that. I only get to see that as Harley Quinn. Otherwise, not so much. But as the show went on and she became more developed character, and her and Jack were getting a little romantic there. I was like, okay, I can get behind this. SamuraiJack. Yeah, Audrey might be just a little bit young for you. I don't know. There's some questionable things
Yeah,
there.
that was kind of ambiguous the way that they played it, because we don't know what Ashi's age is.
Like Jack with that
but
beard makes him look very old.
Yeah, and that was what I was gonna bring up, is that the way that they drew Jack with the bags under his eyes with the beard, he looked really old and she was really young, and I didn't catch on to any romantic vibes they had until after she had sort of been reborn and had not been all about Aku. But I dug Ashi. I think that it's really interesting that SamuraiJack would fall in love with the literal daughter of Aku.
Oh, I love that. I love that
parallel.
twist.
That parallel is great.
To me, that twist is the equivalent of the "I am your father" moment from Star Wars, but if Emperor Palpatine were saying it, and I'd be like, "Squee." that's how I compare it.
The daughters of Aku as a whole were really neat. Just as sort of a tool to get Jack and Ashi into that place. And I don't mean to necessarily jump to the finale, but the finale had a lot to do with Ashi at the end. So that last image that we're left on is that ladybug coming to Jack and then flying away. I had to rewatch some of the earlier episodes to be reminded of how layered the narrative with Ashi is, because when Ashi is being trained as a daughter of a coup, this ladybug flies on her and then flies over to the high priestess, and then she squishes it in her hand and kills it. And then the next time we see a ladybug is after Jack and Ashi get out of like the sea monster thing, before he shows her about like the way that the world works. And the thing that stops her from killing Samurai Jack as he's defenseless is seeing a ladybug fly onto him and him like marvel at it and then him let it go without like peacefully, and then it flies past her.
I actually remember that my first viewing, so
I had forgotten about that, but going back to that, just you realize how weird that narrative is, and the fact that we end on that, at least as upbeat as we can, sort of note with the ladybug and Jack remembering his adventures with Ashi was a really nice touch and a way to end off or cap off that that character.
Yeah. I like.
Also, can we admit that there's some great parallels between this season and Logan?
Yeah, I thought they were gonna actually go full on Logan for a few episodes. But yeah, definitely a lot of Logan. A little bit of Star Wars too. Luke Skywalker.
Wait, is Jacob still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I haven't seen Logan yet.
I was about to say.
We don't want to spoil anything.
No, you totally can. I've already been spoiled. Like
Okay.
I know what happens. You guys can talk about it if you want. I just didn't want to say anything because I haven't seen it yet, and I don't want to be that guy. So you guys can talk about the parallels if you want.
Well, yeah, when you think about the parallels between Jack and Logan, is that, here we have a guy at the end of his rope, much like with Jack. Both of them are these heroes that are just they just want to be done with it, and they still getting pulled into that lifestyle, and it's because of a girl that has a very skilled woman, and they have to go through these personal trials to become that hero one more time.
That's a little Star Wars Episode 8 in there too, if you think about it. I think like everybody's doing it. This is the year of the redeemed heroes.
Yeah. But yeah, and it also doesn't help that Jack returned the same month as when Logan premiered. So
that's true.
Do all these creators get together and say, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's have our heroes get all broken, and then we have to build them back up again"?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I never thought, seeing the first couple of fights with the Daughters of Aku, that one of them would end up being the woman that Jack loves and wants to marry. Like, that never even crossed my mind. I thought that it was just going to be another trial that Jack had to overcome, and that she was just going to be another ally for Jack, because he had made so many allies over the years. I thought that she was just going to be another one, but at the end of the day, not only did he have friends in the future, but he had created this family with Ashi as well, and I would assume that he would probably have kids with her and shit in the future too.
Yeah, and they would have kids, and then the kid went rogue, and he started worshiping his grandfather, and started. Oh wait, that's something else.
Supreme Leader Aku 2. That's what he's calling himself.
No, it'd be like he joined a cult that were called the Knights of. Oh wait, that's something else.
The Knights of Aku.
Actually, I wonder if there would still be cults about Aku. I mean, Aku still existed. He's still a thing.
Well, not anymore. He's been erased from the timeline.
No. But I mean, there's still.
We'll get to that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of. Good thing you have two Doctor Who fans with you. But yeah, I really liked Ashi, and I was okay with the romance. I know some people weren't.
I totally was okay with it. It was completely warranted. After all this time, Jack, it makes sense that would happen to Jack. And it's just so ironic that she's a daughter of Aku.
Oh, I love that twist. And I think it was, and I love the scene where they kiss, because I feel like it kind of is natural. Like, you go through all this stress, and you're with a girl, and she's pretty, and you're looking at each other, and then it's like, oh, forget it. Let's
that
just
was
snog.
Yeah, that was so like cinematic and amazing, and
The music
played to the show's strengths, because they really do have a sense of comedic timing and having weight in this show that is a little bit darker because it is on Adult Swim, and we're handling more adult things, but they still hit all the beats that they needed to, especially with that romance.
and
Yeah.
I love. Oh, sorry, Deapoolzilla, you're gonna say something.
I was just gonna say again. I think the main thing that that got this show a foot in the door was not because of revivals. I think it was because of how well Rick and Morty was. I mean, yeah, it's still a comedy show, but there's some dark elements and there's some action scenes to it. So I think it's because of Rick and Morty that we may see this change in Adult Swim, where it's not like it's stuff to watch while you're baked at like 5 a.m.
Watching some King of the Hill.
American Dad, cough, cough.
King of the Hill. So watching some propane and propane accessories.
I think Rick and Morty was kind of, and now with Samurai Jack we have this like start to a new era of Adult Swim, and including Toonami.
Yeah, because Toonami came back with it, right?
Yeah, well, Toonami came back about I want to say about 3 years before Samurai Jack.
Oh, now I feel like an idiot.
I didn't know either. I don't know. I'm asleep by the time Toonami's on.
But yeah, Toonami came back a while ago, and then it came back with this. I mean, yeah, this is what brought it. What they were showing it under. But I think, yeah, with how well, because here's the thing, consistently for the last 4 episodes, it was #1 in the cable ratings.
Yeah, and so this is definitely going to make Cartoon Network look at this and be like, hey, let's do more of this.
Exactly, and I think this is also going to be an eye-opener for like Nickelodeon and other TV stations, because we are getting an adult animated Deadpool show, which I'm hoping is not like haha fart jokes. It's more like we can have funny and action
and serious themes and what have you.
And I hope so.
Me too. Also, to go back to Ashi for a second, and we can not talk about Aku too. It's more about Aku, because more Aku's the better. I love how. And this is why I think I love the second to last episode the best. That's my favorite episode. Because throughout the entire season, Aku's just kind of like, meh, Samurai Jack, whatever. I'm just going to sit here all day and just be a grump.
Well, he's lost his purpose just like Jack has.
Yeah.
They've simultaneously lost their purpose.
And
which is so great.
I know, and when I love the fact that I almost feel like, and I might be reading into this, when Aku finds out that Ashi is his daughter and Jack's love interest, I feel that's kind of like a click in Aku's mind to like, oh my gosh, I can hit Samurai Jack so hard in the field and just destroy him mentally right now. And
like he has this moment of light bulb.
Exactly. and then when Ashi finally takes the sword, I just like that Aku just, and then by the final episode, it's like Aku's like back on it, like he's on his game again. Like, I am back. Aku's back. So like I like that about how that ties in neatly to both their characters. Oh, more static. Deapoolzilla, you have anything else to say?
I guess. Hang on, I'll wait for the static.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm having to like hold my mic in.
No, that's okay. Deapoolzilla, sorry. Oh. You gotta love technology, people.
Hold on, I'm just gonna leave the call and I'll be back.
Alright, I won't stop the recording this time. I think we'll be fine.
I don't know anything about it.
You can talk, Deapoolzilla. I think we're good.
All right. I guess we'll talk about Aku, and like you said, it's like he's now, like Jacob said, it's like he's lost his purpose much as Jack has, and the whole world knows it. For the past 50 years, he's been hiding in his tower, just going, I don't want to do anything. Also, I'm pretty sure that was a Family Vacation reference when he had the little talking box in front of his tower.
I think it probably was.
Yeah, I was like, did they just reference Family Vacation? But yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, because here, all this death and devastation at Aku's hand, and Aku's just like, ugh, I'm bored. It's a great contrast of like, here's Aku, this like great master of evil, and yet he's kind of just Well, he's just a big couch potato right now.
The way I describe it is to be like if Emperor Palpatine just spent his day watching soap operas.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is. I think that's kind of the cool way to do it. I think that was an interesting
Hello?
way of.
Well, there you are.
Oh, well,
There you go.
Um,
You're good.
Shit.
I think that was an interesting way of doing Aku instead of making him like this big dark entity that always kind of held him up to be. It's in here. It's just like no, he's just a big couch potato now, and and all of this pain and suffering no longer amuses him.
Hello?
Hello.
Can we hear you?
Really?
Testing 1 2 3. Oh, well, while Jacob works on that, I agree. I think honestly, it's more true to the character. If you're quite honest, it's like we always say, Aku's not a serious villain. He's cartoony in, like he's not Darkseid.
Well, let me throw this out here of this quote that Sam Witwer said about Palpatine, where Palpatine's a funny guy, even though he's doing all these horrible things, and you could transition that same thing to Aku.
No, I agree. Jacob will be hopping on his computer, so we'll keep talking in the meantime about Aku. No, I agree with you. But no, I completely agree with you there. And I think that's why I like Aku so much. I think that's why he's always been my favorite character. And even in the season 1 Aku, which apparently you said was the darkest version of him, he still has that sort of juvenile excitement to him. Like, you ever notice when Aku's smiling? It's like almost like a happy grin. It's not like this evil, sinister look. It's just like this, I'm a kid in the candy store and I'm going to destroy it, but I'm going to have a fun time. And that's where I think they really got down the character. Anything else to add to Deapoolzilla while we wait for Jacob to come back?
I think like another major aspect to Aku. Well, actually, I think we've covered everything. I'm going to bring up a few other like new characters we got. Scaramouche. How much fun is that character?
Yeah, baby. Scaramouche. It was fun. I was surprised they actually brought him back throughout the arc, to be quite honest with you. Another character I really liked. I thought the priestess was interesting.
Yeah, the priestess was an interesting character, and I was like, wow, Kylo Ren much?
More. In a weird way, Ashi and the priestess are like Kylo Ren, but separated. Don't you think?
No.
Nope. Nah, I guess. Well, we have to see where Kylo Ren goes, but nah, I agree. I think the priestess is tougher though. If you ask me. Oh, one thing I loved though. I think one of my favorite episodes was getting to see all the people Jack has met throughout the series. That was one of the.
Oh yeah, that was actually my favorite episode because how well they did it. Because they could have easily done a clip show, but the thing is, they decided to bring in new scenes because it's all their memories of how they remember Jack, and I thought that was really cool, of how they did that whole remembrance of all of them, especially the rave song. That was great.
Oh, I love the rave song. That was so beautiful. You get a little teary-eyed when listening to it. Just like, yeah, I remember when I was a lad watching the Tales of the Samurai on the small screen.
And then the end was one giant nostalgia bomb. But again, we'll get to the end when we get to it.
Yeah, hopefully Jacob will get here soon. I feel like he has the most, lots of thematic things to say about that. Ending aside, well, we won't categorize the ending as the best or worst episode, but what was probably your least favorite episode?
I wouldn't say there's a least favorite episode. But if I was to like pick an episode I wouldn't watch consistently, it'd be episode 8. Probably because
Oh, there you are. Yay.
I'm really sorry.
No.
I'm never gonna Skype on my phone again. This is ridiculous.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't mean to make you do all this editing, man.
Oh, I'm
Like,
not,
I feel so bad.
dude. I'm only like to take like two snippets of audio and just put them together. That's it, and just one big picture afterwards. I'm not editing this. This all stays in.
Awesome.
I'm that lazy.
Nice and savage.
Exactly. The audience will suffer with us. But yeah, we were just finishing up Aku, and then we were just talking about other characters we like Scaramouche.
Oh man, scary. When we saw him in that first episode, that was like classic Samurai Jack bounty hunter thing. Like, who thought that you could have a bounty hunter with his gimmick being music?
Yeah, that's totally classic Samurai Jack. And I sent you that cute little in memoriam video they did for Scaramouche of him playing his flute.
That was great.
Yeah. I also like I busted out I laughed out loud so hard when he said, "That dude's head looked like a penis."
Yeah, that was
like,
really funny.
It was so abrupt. Like, it just, like, if it was like Rick and Morty or anything, I'd have been like, "Oh, that's another Rick and Morty joke." But if it was coming from Samurai Jack, I was like, "Oh my god!"
It took me a while. Like, wait, what did he say? Like, did he say what I think he said?
It was also really cool that they restrained themselves on like swearing and all that. I mean, the only character who really swore was the samurai, and that kind of made sense because he's just an angry old man. And trust me, having two grandfathers, I can attest to that.
Yeah, like there were no F-bombs, thankfully. I was happy about that. Jacob, did you want to say anything else about like Ku or anybody before we talk about the finale?
I would say that the introduction that we get to Aku, not him over the phone, but him in that second episode, was fantastic.
Oh, I love that.
That is a prime example of the show's just expertise with comedic timing and understanding Aku. And I mean he really isn't present for a lot of the series, but that's how it is in the OG Samurai Jack. So I'm not totally sure if that's a good thing or if it's a bad thing. But I mean, we can talk about him in the finale because we can just talk about that. But Aku was really great. I mean,
oh yeah, that intro just cemented to me that yes, this shows everything's gonna be fine. Like that's what my feeling of that intro. Like I love how he just goes, "You're getting yourselves all over the floor. I just had it vacuumed."
Also, I guess the other character that came back that made me so happy was the Scotsman.
Yes. Oh my! I totally thought that they weren't gonna do him. I'm like, they did this samurai, are they not gonna do the Scotsman? But then they did him, and I was like, okay, sweet.
I think what was kind of funny is that he just explains offhandedly, "Celtic magic, that's how I'm still alive, like a Jedi ghost." And considering this show has had literally the gods and and even Spartans in here, it's just like, fuck you, logic.
That's Samurai Jack kind of in a nutshell sometimes.
I guess when you have a show about a time-traveling samurai, I guess anything's possible, right?
Exactly. So with that being said, shall we talk about the finale, everybody?
Sure.
Alrighty. Jacob, how about you go first? Because you seem like you have a lot to say.
Well, I said earlier, before I had technical issues, that overall, season 5 was like better than the actual series of like the 4 seasons. So overall, season 5 was great, but I think the weakest episode of like the set of 10 is the finale by far. There are a lot of cool moments in it, but they talked so much about giving people a definitive ending and resolving everything. And as a result of resolving everything, you should be fulfilled with the resolutions of everything that was going on. there were a lot of cool moments, like how everybody came to help Jack. They replayed the actual intro from the original series,
I
which
love
was
that.
awesome.
I love that.
Jack went back in time and killed Aku, like the past Aku, which he's been talking about since the beginning of the series. We got to see Jack's parents again, even though they didn't speak lines of dialogue. They didn't do anything important. They were basically just Easter eggs.
The Emperor got better after he was no longer enslaved. I went back to see the first episode, and the enslaved Emperor is like he's like short now, and he's like hunched over, like now he's all big and tall again.
I mean, retcons, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we got to see all Jack's teachers.
Yeah, that's true as well. So there were a lot of cool moments in the finale, but the finale was a huge letdown for a lot of reasons. One, Jack should not have gone back to the past at all. And I don't know if I want to get too much into what I think should have happened, but I can maybe elaborate that. I can maybe elaborate on that in a little bit if you guys want me to.
You want the Guardian ending, don't you?
What I thought was going to happen is that Jack should have stayed in the future because he had this long conversation with Ashi about how beautiful everything was and how Aku destroyed it. But because of the Deus Ex Machina, basically the big FU at the end of the finale, is that Ashi has all of Aku's powers for whatever reason, even though she's not even really Aku. She's like half human, like a demigod. She shouldn't even have all of his powers in the first place. They go back to the past. And it wasn't like Jack had to think about it. It wasn't even Jack's decision. After all this time, some other character brought him back to the past. To me, and what I thought Jack's thought process was, is that Aku had destroyed the nature, he destroyed his friends, he destroyed his family. But after defeating Aku in the future with the help of Ashi and with all the people he helped throughout his 50 years in the future, he would realize that all the time portals are gone. There's no way to get back to the past. And even if there was, I have a family, I have friends, I have companions, and all of that is solidified through Ashi. And he can go around rebuilding the world and eliminating the rest of Aku's evil and rebuilding the nature. That to me would be the most sensible, fitting ending. Is Jack, even though the whole series has been about going back to the past, we don't really reap any fruits of that. He goes back to the past and kills Aku, and then what happens? He instantly gets married and Ashi vanishes, which that in and of itself is stupid. As soon as they went back to the past and Aku died, Ashi should have faded away from existence.
Yeah,
period,
that was weird.
right there. They had to wait to do the dramatic effect during the wedding. And all the great things about Samurai Jack, the timing, both comedic and traumatic, and the visuals and the storytelling, and not using a lot of dialogue. I felt like all of that was rushed and cheapened down and not used effectively in the finale. So we have Jack going back to the past. That shouldn't have happened. We have Ashi dying. That shouldn't have happened either, because it's like the death of like the rebirth of Earth after Aku is gone, because Ashi is half demon, and she represents, more so even than Jack, the triumph of good over evil, because she's half good, half bad. And she triumphs over that. But she triumphs over it only because Jack tells her he loves her. And that was bullshit too. Like that felt like something the people who were writing the CW shows would write. Like a character only accomplishes something because another character gives them a pep talk about love and family. That's something right out of the CW playbook. So that didn't work for me. I'm trying to think of what else happened. I mean, that was pretty much it. It just felt really rushed, and like they spent all this time in the future, and then when they went back to the past, we were only there for a couple of minutes until we got the last couple shots. And what I kind of already talked about the ladybug thing, but like as I was watching it for the first time, because I watched the finale a couple times, I was like, this is not at all what I expected. I'm like, this isn't triumph. This isn't like I'm not pumping my fist rooting for Jack right now. I'm not like yay, like crying tears of joy like I thought I would be after a 13-year wait for the show to come back, because it just wasn't. There was no sense of accomplishment, because he went back to the past and undid everything that led him to that point. And that was part of the reason why I thought he was going to stay in the future, is because he has recreated the beauty of nature and all these people throughout the hard work he's done. And for him to choose to go back in time and undo that would basically to be unethical and to undo everything that he did. And I didn't think that he was going to choose to do that. So again, she just pulling him back in the past because she magically has his powers is just really stupid.
There are definitely a lot of
And
ethical
the thing
questions.
is, we end on a note of Jack reflecting on the good memories that he and Ashi had, which is really interesting. Because if this season is supposed to be about closure and finality in Samurai Jack, why is our closing image Jack reflecting on the experiences he had with a character who proved to be extraordinarily temporary? Because she wasn't introduced until the beginning of the season, and then she died at the end of the season. If anything, it should have been about him reflecting on him in the Scotsman adventures, because he's been there since the beginning. It should have been him with his parents, but it was him alone with the ladybug and like the nature reemerging. And yeah, there is some stuff to that. There is a little bit of merit to that, but it just wasn't. It just felt like a letdown, you know.
Understandable. Deadpoolzilla, what did you think? What are your thoughts?
I think Jacob covered it perfectly.
Okay,
I'm,
then.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I talked for like way too long. I realized that
No, no,
halfway through.
No. It's fine. It's just that you pretty much said everything I wanted to. Looking back on it, while I still enjoyed the ending, I feel like he should have stayed in the future, and the whole Ashi getting all these powers just felt like what the fuck.
And because
Well-
we learned that in the episode. It was such a like turn on a dime, like Deus Ex Machina kind of thing. And Jack's sword, Aku had Jack's sword like up in a corner, but Ashi just grabbed it. Jack didn't even have to fight to get his sword back. She just grabbed it. It felt like a willy-nilly victory.
Yeah. I still enjoyed the ending, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, that ending got a little. The series of the end kind of tripped up on itself at the end, didn't it?
And there's some ethical questions like, now is Aku's timeline? There's like, now is this the main timeline? Is there a Aku timeline? Did Jack go to Earth 2?
Well, the other thing is how it just kind of ended with the Scotsman shielding everyone. I was like, wait, go back to that.
I only saw one good comic out of that where it's like the Scotsman taunts Aku saying, haha, even if we get destroyed, at least every bad thing you ever done gets erased with it. So that was the only like cool little DeviantArt picture. And now fanfiction writers can say that the SamuraiJack's world is part of the main Cartoon Network universe, if they want to ever do that.
Also, another thing that confuses me is Jack still immortal?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another thing, is they leave us, again, if this is supposed to be about finality, why are you leaving us with all these questions still unanswered? We still don't know what Jack's real name is. And I probably shouldn't even bring that up because that's minuscule. We don't have finality about the Guardian's prophecy. We don't.
If you want to actually go check out a comic that does kind of answer those questions, go check out the IDW SamuraiJack comics. They were like an official end to the series.
But then Gendy Tartakovsky literally said, no, those aren't canon.
Yeah, I know they're not canon because it's a different. It does do the whole Guardian prophecy thing in a way, but it does kind of give you what you wanted, Jake.
Okay, I was gonna check those out anyway, but now I definitely have to, because they just bookend it with like all these questions in the air. Is Jack still immortal? What happened to the Guardian? What's his real name, man? Like, I want to know.
Time to start the petitions for Samurai Jack season 6. Time to get the internet. Internet, get to work.
No.
No Supreme Leader Snoku in the.
And that was another thing too. Like, if Jack and Ashi stay in the future, then Jack and Ashi can bring those like traditional medieval Japan values into the future too. And so it's like a rebirth of that society. So Jack can get married to Ashi, and then there's always the question of, is Aku still in Ashi because there isn't a time paradox? Like, she's still part of Ku. There's always the chance that she may fall over to the bad side, or her son may become the grandson wanting to be like the grandfather.
You know,
Kind of like the Knights of Aku, except wait, this already happened somewhere else.
Exactly. That's my joke, jerk.
Copyright claims. You can sue him now for legal grounds. I understand. I too was kind of wondering, okay, are they gonna do the Guardian thing? Like, wait, now Jack doesn't have the beard, so how are you gonna do the Guardian thing? And the Guardian's dead, so you can't do the Guardian thing now?
Yeah, by the way, who killed the Guardian?
I assume
Because that dude...
I assume Aku did. Because Aku destroyed all the time portals. He was guarding a time portal. Maybe,
I don't know, man.
Maybe that's just Aku's power. Aku can bend the will of what's supposed to happen in time. I don't know. That is Aku for you.
So I think we've covered everything, right?
Oh, all right, Jacob. What was your favorite episode?
That's tough.
Mine was.
To be honest, I'm gonna have to say the one where they're on the spaceship, the 98th episode, where they are fighting the Lazarus thing. That episode was just it hit every beat, and then they had the romance thing at the end, and it was so perfect. And I don't know, man, that was just such a great experience watching that episode. And maybe it's not particularly the best. I hadn't even thought about which episode I thought was the best until just now. So maybe I'm answering that on a whim. And maybe
I said favorite. I didn't say the best.
Well, I mean, I try to keep those things as synonymous as possible, because if you don't, you kind of run into some difficulties with arguing things. Even though we're not arguing, we're just talking about it. But that episode, watching it, had such a profound effect on me, because that episode, it wasn't anything big, it wasn't anything universe altering, it wasn't anything. It was just the culmination of these two people falling in love. It's simple. It was like you pitch an episode and it's, oh, Jack and Ashi go on this thing, they fight this creature, and then they kiss at the end. To this song, it's a simple pitch, but they made it work so well using the tools that they developed, with the timing, with the visuals, with everything that SamuraiJack does well, that everybody knows SamuraiJack for. And it just came together as a really beautiful piece, and a great episode.
Okay, and on that note, I think we've covered it all.
We didn't cover one thing. The quote unquote the Grim Reaper following Jack.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That was a thing.
I just totally remembered that while you guys are talking.
That was during your favorite. That was in your favorite episode too. They dealt with that. Deapoolzilla.
Yeah. I liked it. It was kind of interesting. Oh, it's death this whole time, and it was kind of like, oh my God, they're gonna kill. Like, there's a brief second in my mind where I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna kill himself.
I was too. At some point along the line, I was like, is Ashi gonna have to be the one to kill Aku? is Jack gonna kill himself here? Like, what's going on? Um, I thought that was, I don't know, maybe a little bit much, but maybe not. It just felt like his father in the flames in the first episode telling him he's forgotten his purpose. Maybe that was enough to drive the point across in his angry hallucinations, but I didn't feel like it was out of place, I guess. Maybe just like trying to hammer home a point.
Yeah. I thought I actually thought the Grim Reaper thing was like an even eviler evil for a few minutes. Like, ooh, is there somebody even more evil than Aku here coming after Jack? And no, just the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Now going
I
after
think the
Aku.
other. Yeah. I think also real quick, because I totally forgot when we were talking about the Daughters of Aku. You know that beautiful scene of when Jack is hiding from the sisters in that tomb?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a great scene. The music playing is actually a reference to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Interesting. I didn't realize that. I remember that scene like I'm like, wow, like this is a really cool scene with all the cinematography going on.
Yeah, it is a beautiful put together, well scene, because you really feel that suspense. Like I was watching the episode and I was like, oh dear God, I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack if this keeps up.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of art in this show that's beautiful. Good old. I love the simplistic nature of it all, but still
Yeah.
fine tuned as well. Like I'm going back to watch older episodes and looking at the newer episodes, like, ooh, this looks a little more polished now. That's the times for you. Anything else we haven't talked about yet?
No, I think that's about it.
I think so too.
Well, in that case, folks, I'm GID123. That was Deapoolzilla and Jacob Carlson, and now we gotta get back to the past. SamuraiJack.
Peace.
Bound in the round, bound in the SamuraiJack.